Well, the main thing about consistency is having a reason for why you do what you do. So for me, it's understanding what matters to me about my work, how I want to go about it, and when the why is very clear, it's easy to stay on track. It's easy to know what you want to do next because it's all coming from the same place. And that sounds like a big general thing to say, but I think when you come at something as important as what you do every day, whether that's your physical activity or your career or your schoolwork, you really do have to know what your motivation is. When you know your motivation, it's really easy to go back to that same well and understand where you want to go next. Well, I think there are actually two aspects to that. Curiosity, of course, leads you to question what you're doing. So the status quo, your tendency to do the same thing that you've done before, it actually makes you stop and say, why would I do that? What could I do differently? What are other people doing? That all, of course, lends itself to good leadership. But dovetail that with curiosity actually opens you to other people's points of view. What do other people think? In a genuine way, you actually need to want to hear the answers if you're going to ask questions. And good leaders want to hear from the people around them. They don't think they have all the answers. And in my experience, the most successful business leaders are the most humble. And I don't mean they're not captains of industry type alpha, but I mean they understand that somebody in the room might be smarter and they don't know who they are, but they want to find them. Being present enough. So engagement is the word that we use in workplace situations, but it's really just being in the moment. And it's easier to do that in some circumstances than others. So in our lives, there are things we do that we love, and we tend to be very fully engaged and connected. You know, for young people in the workplace, the other aspect to this is it's not always easy to be curious. It's not always easy to say to a boss or somebody senior to you, why don't we do this differently? Or how about we change things? But it's actually very empowering. It is a form of engagement that people will respect. And as long as you go in prepared, which you need to do, that it's not always going to be met with open arms, but that it's the right thing to do, you keep at it. I mean, I think the right forum is anyone that puts you in touch with your passion. So, if you're a gamer, then get in touch with other gamers. Don't do it alone in your room. Make sure that you're actually exploring what other people think about it, what are the cutting edges of this environment, and that can be true of anything. The world right now is so connected, and I think the real beauty of the next generation of human beings is that they do this naturally. Social connectivity is part of how you think and how you live. Use it. It's not a waste of time. Facebook isn't a waste of time if what you're finding out is what people think about something that matters a lot to you, and it changes what you think a little bit. That's powerful stuff, and you can use it to your advantage. You know when it's a waste of time, and you know when it's something that's helping you. You know, the most important thing I think you can ask is, do I love what I'm doing? And that should be true of everything. But when you start thinking big picture about career, why you're going to make choices that you're making, just make sure it comes from a place of true enjoyment. And the reason that I say that is, I think you need to love whatever activity you're engaged in, and not because everybody should be happy or we should all hold hands, but it's because I think when you're doing what you're suited for, it makes you happy. You love it. And so if you're doing something, whether it's engineering or law, and you're not enjoying it, take a step back. You might not be in the right field. You might not be as good at that as you would be at something else, and you might need to rethink what you're up to.